Hey guys, I'm back. Now I know it's been a very long minute, and I thought I'd just quickly sort of jump on and give you guys just a rundown of I guess why I've been MIA. And suffice to say, it's been a very sort of hectic 6 months. I believe when we last touched base, my family and I were getting ready to head over to Hawaii. My dad was turning 50 and my sister was turning 21. Sorry, I sound a bit chesty. I have a bit of a cough. But anyway, so we went over to celebrate those sort of big milestones. And while we were at it, we also did a cruise through the Hawaiian Islands, which was amazing. There was so much to see, and unsurprisingly, there's a lot more that I need to see that I didn't get to see when we went over. So it's definitely a place where I'll sort of want to head back. About a third of the way into our trip, we got a phone call from Australia. We had my aunt and uncle and their son from Samoa heading over to Australia for a holiday. And in the months leading up to them coming over to Australia, my aunt was actually quite sick, and she'd been sick for a while before they came over. And so about a third of the way into our trip in Hawaii, we actually received a phone call from Australia, just sort of informing us that she was actually sick with stage 4 lung cancer, which is crazy. And so, yeah, so having received that news, it put a little bit of a dampener on the sort of mood of the trip. But I think we sort of had decided to move forward and enjoy as much as possible what was left of the trip. Obviously, because there was nothing we could have done. It was what it was, and there was no way through our behavior that we could have changed the outcome of anything or her diagnosis or anything like that. So it just wasn't sort of productive to sort of be worried or fearful or anything. I mean, she was definitely in our prayers. And so we were back on the 7th of January, and mid-January, probably on the 20th, they left to head back home to Samoa. And so in that space of time, on the 7th through to around about the 20th, everyone in the family was at my aunt's house every weekend and close to every day, just visiting with my auntie and spending as much time with her, because, you know, in the back of all of our minds, we kind of knew, you know, the final outcome and what was to sort of eventuate. And so exactly a week to the day between them having left Australia and when they had arrived in Samoa, which would have been a Sunday morning, she actually passed away, which was quite devastating for my mum, because she had a ticket booked on Sunday night to head back to Samoa. So she literally just missed her. And my sister and I actually decided at that time to sort of book a ticket to Samoa on the back of all the plans that had been made by everybody while they were here in Australia, being that the funeral would be not long at all after she had passed away. So what actually eventuated in terms of the plans made by sort of the elders in the family was that she would be buried 2 weeks after she had passed away. So anyway, family politics aside, my sister and I were actually quite fortunate to sort of be involved in what we would call the Sausagenga crew. And it's a colloquial term, and I'm not sure where it originates, but I can see sort of, but if you really sort of think about the story behind how it might have originated, would be situations that a lot of Samoans can relate to, where at fa'alavelave, le makaile whaiele aso can often be heard calling out, sometimes can be heard calling out, Sausagenga. And, you know, if I was to sort of take poetic license here, I would liken it to sort of him saying, would a girl please come and run this money over? Either to sort of momoli alafu or momoli the basese for the visiting chiefs. And so from those situations that I'm sure a lot of Samoans can relate to, is born the term Sausekenge, and in particular the Sausekenge crew, which is a term to sort of describe the collective group of girls involved in the process of receiving the fine mats, or in the process of in the kainga sua process. So my sister and I were very, very fortunate in this trip to Samoa to be involved in the Sausekenge crew. And it was quite coincidental because my auntie passed on the Sunday, and on the Saturday was the sort of final presentation of our Anganu'ufa Samoa class. It's actually the Oa'uola Samoa class, which is run by Tu'u'u Apulu Mary Autangawaya and Alailua from Lufi Lufi. And as part of our level 2 presentation, our class had actually split off into 2 groups. And sort of our final presentation was a role play of a Si'i Alofa at a maliu, which is crazy, right? Crazy coincidence. I mean, not so crazy because it's one of the most common sort of situations where there is a Si'i where there are Si'i presented. But coincidental, I like to think, for me, given everything that was going on at the time. So anyway, sorry, I sound probably quite chesty, and that's because I have quite a bit of a cough at the moment, so excuse that. So anyway, our class broke off into 2 groups. One half was to role play the visiting party, and in this situation the visiting party was to be the auloku, and they were going to present their Si'i to the other half of the class, who was to role play the family preparing for the funeral. And obviously, it was a 50-50 chance which group I would be in, but coincidentally again, I was part of the group that was preparing for the funeral. And so the whole process, we went through that, the whakulima, the launga, the visiting family presenting their mats, us putting into practice the sulakonga, and then our chiefs reciprocating by doing a launga, and then us presenting and reciprocating the gifting to the visiting party. So all quite coincidental, but just a sort of process, the whole class was just a great opportunity to sort of get an insight into the thinking behind these beautiful customs and traditions and rituals that we have in place in Samoan culture to really honor somebody. And it's really sort of beautiful to think about the fact that the family preparing for the funeral, that this could be their final gift to the person who has passed away. It just sort of really sort of humbles you to think about it in that sense, to think about the funeral. It's your final sort of mea lofa for your loved ones. And so I can see why some people might get carried away in terms of the gifting. But if you think about the essence behind all the rituals, it's enough to sort of really make your jaw drop in awe of the beauty behind the Fa Samoa, and just the thoughtfulness and the detail behind it. Sad occasion, but just beautiful in the sense that we were there to sort of be a part of that final gift that our family could give to my auntie. So and then coming into sort of Aprilish, my dad actually was bestowed a chief title in his in the Ainga Salava. And so I was very fortunate to be able to take time off and meet my parents in Samoa, and just to sort of be there to witness my dad, be involved in such it's a rarity that it would happen. So I was really happy to sort of be there and sort of witness that, bear witness to that, and sort of be there in support not just of my dad, but in support of my whole sort of extended family. So another really beautiful Samoan occasion. And then just coming into sort of just recently, I was actually diagnosed with a hyperactive thyroid. And I remember distinctively on both occasions where I went to Samoa, and even just within the last year, I just noticed I was I was a big sweat ball, just always short of breath, crazy appetite, which, you know, and they're just some of the symptoms of hyperactive thyroidism. And so, yeah, up until just recently, I was actually feeling really quite rubbish. But I'm on medication now just to sort of stabilize my thyroxine levels and just help regulate everything. So I'm finally in a place where I feel as though, you know, where I'm feeling good enough to be able to say that I am back. And so, yeah, I believe that brings you guys all up to speed. I actually have some really, really big news that I'll be sharing with you guys very soon. But in the meantime, let's rewind about a year or so. Not quite a year, but let's rewind and pretend it's December and we're about to head to Hawaii. Enjoy.